So let's just start by talking about your new book release about Aim True, which is coming out this month. Very exciting, and congratulations.
Thank you. It comes out March 29th.
Oh,
Yeah, so almost there, but it's going to be here before you know it.
oh, okay. I was going off a web page, so I'll redo that. But
Well, for a second, I was like, oh my gosh, is it March?
yeah, it's out. It's out. Actually, it's been released. It
Whoa,
was amazing.
I need to catch up. Yeah, so it's coming out really soon. It's kind of amazing because the book process is just so long and arduous and fascinating and amazing. But it's like giving birth to a little baby that you're ready to share with the world. So I'm thrilled, but it's also kind of terrifying because Aim True is my own personal philosophy, and it's like taking a little chunk of my heart and offering it to the world. So I can't wait, but at the same time, it's a delicate offering. So I'm just preparing myself. I've decided to take the entire month of February to stay home in Charleston and kind of recharge and do good things for myself, so I can be ready to put myself out there and go hard and share as much as I can.
Hmm. So, of all the books you could have written, or all that why this? Like, what's the
You know,
current in your evolution? Yeah.
well, my first book was basically a yoga reference guide, which I'm very proud of it, but it was very technical, and it was a yoga reference guide with personality, basically.
Hmm.
And I talked to my book agent, and we decided, okay, you could write another yoga book, obviously. I had always wanted to write a cookbook, and she's like, "You're not famous enough in the food world to do that, so keep going." and I said, "I'd also really love to write a book on Aim True." And she's like, "With where you're at in your career right now, I think another yoga book would be a good choice for you." And so I put together a yoga proposal, and I went and I started meeting with publishers, and almost every single publisher looked at the proposal. They're like, "This is great, but tell us more about this whole Aim True thing that you do."
Hmm.
And everyone was so interested in it, and several of the publishers were like, "Could you actually whip together a proposal for what that would look like?"
Hmm.
And which was absolutely thrilling for me because that's really what I wanted to share with the world. So it was very accidental because I thought, okay, book number two, another yoga book, and then it turned into that's what people wanted, and that's what I ended up getting hired to write. And it's all in the timing, and it's beautiful because it involves yoga, it involves meditation, it actually involves 80 plus recipes. So I basically took everything that I wanted to do and put it together, and it's how the Aim True philosophy applies to all different aspects of life. So how do you eat? How do you view yourself? How do you take care of your vessel? How do you treat your mind? How do you find your balance? And how you can use this philosophy to guide you along all of those genres.
Hmm. Yeah, isn't that interesting? The whole like synergy of like what wants to come through ends up finding its own avenues.
Yeah, it's going to come through no matter what. And you just, but I really love that something that I knew I wanted to passionately. And in retrospect, I want to say I should have listened to exactly what I wanted to do, but it still persevered regardless.
Yeah,
So,
I think there's something to that too,
yeah, me too.
especially with more experience, right? Like maybe it couldn't have come through the first book.
Oh, I completely believe that because I definitely have the personality where I want this, I want it now, I know that I can do it, let's go. And hindsight is 2020, but you look back at experiences in your life where maybe there was an amazing job that you really wanted to get, and it was heartbreaking when you didn't get it.
Yeah.
But when you look back, you think, well, thank God, I wasn't prepared. I couldn't
Mm.
have established myself in the way that I would have wanted a proper offering to the world had I gotten it at that age or without the knowledge that I possess now. So
Mm.
a firm believer, and the timing is always right.
Mm. So, in Aim True, for those who are less familiar with your work, can you just describe a little bit about what that means and how you've experienced it?
Sure. So it's derivative in Greek mythology. So I've loved mythology, but in particular the Greek goddess Artemis, who's the goddess of the moon and the goddess of the hunt. And she's basically the tomboy of goddesses. So as a little girl, as a tomboy, I loved her. But then as an adult, I started to learn more about her stories, and I understood how powerful she was in going against society and saying, "This is me. I know this isn't normal, but this is how I want to live my life." And I just thought that simple message was so powerful. And then I wrote a poem or a prayer that was written to her, and the first line was, "Artemis, goddess of the moon, make my aim true." And when I heard that line, I went, it's just that goosebump moment where you realize this is important. I have no idea what it means, but it's really important. So it was, the catalyst for me understanding what does it mean for me to aim true in my life. I have goals and I'm driven, but if I don't have this intention of aiming true behind my goals, what's the point of even setting them up? So I started along this process of understanding what are my passions, what are my innate talents. Like I have to give myself permission to live in that place of, it's not narcissistic to live there. You need to understand what makes you an offering, what makes you special, what makes you a gift. And then once you understand what that is and what you're excited about, to go after it full-heartedly, understanding that there is a very strong chance that other people are not going to understand or agree with you. And that doesn't mean that you're wrong or that you need to slow down or be quiet. You need to stay on that path. And if you can get past the fear associated with others' opinions, casting their opinions, that's how you hit your mark.
Yeah.
But it starts in that place of, this is me. This is what I want. And it's okay that not everyone's going to agree with me, but you have to keep coming home to that place of understanding what drives your heart.
Yeah.
So I share it in hopes to, just wake people up, shake them up a little bit and make them understand, no, this isn't an easy path. It's not kumbaya. It's not magic dust that's just going to make your life amazing. But here's the process, and this is how we can get into a place where you feel fulfilled and satisfied and empowered.
Yeah, and I love how it speaks on the yogic path to the tantric understanding of desire as like your ally, as part of the Shakti, part of the big, the big divine force of creation and manifestation. And that when we develop a really allied relationship with our deeper desire, with our aim, things happen, and they are unconventional because it can't follow convention because it's been done.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's I love that statement. It's what's the saying? Dance to the rhythm of your own beat.
Yeah, dance to the beat of your own rhythm. Yeah.
Exactly. But and it doesn't mean that you have to be rebellious. It doesn't mean that you have to go out and break all these rules. It's just understand what makes you feel alive. Like understand what turns you on and lights you up and makes you excited. And I just think so many people shy away from it. But I also think we live in a society where if you ask someone, hey, like, why are you amazing? What makes you so talented? That most people would be embarrassed to say something.
Yeah.
Or if they answered it, they would say something along the lines of, well, I think that maybe I'm sort of those kind of filler words. It's like, no, really.
Yeah.
Why does your best friend think you're your best friend?
Yeah.
Why does your mom or dad think you're the best child in the world? And can you say that with authority and own it? Because otherwise, I do truly believe it's our duty to understand what we're amazing at and put that into the world. And which is exhausting sometimes. As a yoga teacher, you don't always want to put yourself out in front of people and give. Like sometimes I just want to put on sweatpants and stay home and be antisocial and not do anything even remotely inspiring. But I also know what my gifts are, and I do feel it's my duty to put myself out there and help people wake up.
Yeah.
So, but you have to understand what those roots are and where it comes from.
Yeah, it's so interesting too, and like the just in the path of yoga and the understanding of ahamkara, or like the ego, and the functional ego. Yeah. Like know who the hell you are, right? Like know what you've got, and then go beyond that. Yeah. Right? And it's such a different way than like disown or disengage, disentangle, try to kill. That whole war relationship is so outdated, and in my sense too is like the masculine versus feminine types of relation. When women have been caretaking others just historically for freaking ever, and I know most of the women I work with are still really not in charge of their own time if they have children or aging parents, or they're in a relationship where they give themselves, they give their power over, right? And that I would say is still largely the norm. And so exactly what you're describing, the sense of know who you are, know how you add value here, that should be you should be so in that it comes off the tip of your tongue, but it also comes through the grace of your presence.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And knowing that, your contributions can come in all different shapes and forms. Just because there's someone that you admire that you think is making waves in the world, that doesn't mean that your contribution needs to be exactly like that.
Right.
It can come through being a phenomenal mother and changing the world through your ability to love and care. It doesn't have to be these big, vast, I'm going to travel the world and speak in front of thousands of people to make a difference.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a very important thing to people to conceptualize, that like, make it your shape, let it fit your life and what is going to be accessible, but not only accessible, but just what feels right for you.
So in terms of your, if your dharma and dharma shifting and being someone who's chosen to be highly visible, is highly visible, and your path with navigating this, when it feels like, or let me just ask, like, does it ever feel like, wow, I'm, sort of being invited, whether that's by, depending on our vocabulary or how we articulate things, like whether that's by like a big energy or the Shakti or a divine inspiration, or just as what we want to do right now. And when it's like, wow, like I'm going to have to become more, like there's a lot that's going to happen for that to happen. And so I'm going to have to change in the process. I'm going to have to become more than I currently am. I just would love to hear any sort of like reflection or experience or non-experience of that.
I mean, adaptability is incredibly important, I would say. And I love my job, but I also have moments where I absolutely hate it. And maybe hate is a strong word, but can be incredibly draining at times. And I know that my offering, I believe, is best served with the platform that I'm given. But with that level of the platform comes so many opinions. And I'm an innately sensitive human being who works on the lesson every single day of my life to not take things personally. I mean, that will be a constant lesson that I strive to fully understand and apply. And I get better, and then I fall down, and then I get better again. But I think at the end of the day, it's, my teacher, she taught me something when I was younger that I will never forget. That you've affected in a positive way, then you have done your job. And I think that we get caught up, and I don't want to use the royal we, but I will for just a second. I think it's easy to get caught up in this, I need everyone to approve and I need everyone to love me. And when in actuality, when you have a powerful message to share, like, can you get through to one person? And that's not small. That's an entire human life with an entire world of experiences that's happening behind that life. That's huge. I mean, if you think about it, how magnificent is that? So for me, it's just like, I've tried to learn with this path, like, how do I zone out the noise that's just angry or judgmental or jealous or, I mean, it's a very judgy world out there with highly opinionated people, and then we have this thing called social media where people can say whatever the hell they want to say with no repercussions whatsoever. And so I try to combat that with continuing to be a positive force. I also try not to engage in the drama because I think that just fuels the fire. And to focus on, for me, it's focus on the people that I'm helping and realize you can't help everyone, but focus on the people that you're reaching and let that be my daily fuel to do better, to continue along that path.
It reminds me of this. I released a book in November, and I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I did I talked to a Joy Tish master who's amazing, and she's like, do like a release ceremony instead of like if you're like book release. She's like, just do your own little, like, at this moment on this day, do this type of thing. Like, we agreed on like what days would work and blah blah blah. And I don't even believe in astrology at all. I mean, I love it and I use it, but like, I know the science behind it does not, as far as like the mathematical formulas behind the science behind it. So I'm not even that vested in it, but I'll take information from anywhere. So I did this like, I had no idea what I was going to do. I have a lot of different rituals and trainings in my background, right? But I'm like, I'm just like going to see what the hell happens here. And so I end up at the, like the appointed moment, like stepping away from the computer and whatnot and rolling my mat out on the patio, which overlooks the ocean. I'm like, let's just see what happens here. And this thing happened, like this spontaneous ritual arose in which I was able to energetically release this creation into the world. Like just energetically, that like, this is no longer mine. This is now everyone else's, and they can do with it whenever they want. They can love it. They can bash it. They can, use it to start fires. Like they can do whatever they want. And it has really nothing to do with me anymore. Right. And that was the whole thing took like 10 minutes, you guys. So don't imagine this elaborate 2-hour puja. Okay. It was not, but it shifted my relationship with the creation, in such a way that I hear you on that lesson. And I think there's just a lot of leeway in there for us all to start to see that, time and again, whether it's like pressing, return on a social media post or, releasing a podcast or, standing in front of 500 people or like whatever it is.
It's empowering. I think there's something empowering because often, I'm sure you've gotten this before too, like I believe in my offering, so I'm not defensive because I feel like defensiveness often means insecurity with your choice. And I feel confident with the choices that I make and the things that I put out into the world, so I don't need to defend myself. If someone doesn't agree, cool. Yeah. You don't agree. Like, I don't expect everybody to agree with me, but like, move on. Yeah. And I just encourage anyone who struggles with judgment or anger, like, look at, not to be all kumbaya again, but like look at the beautiful things that are out there. And why do we fixate on those little things that make us crazy? Because it's just this unbelievable poison that we put into our body. And then people wonder why they're so unhappy. I'm like, because you're fixating on every tiny little problem. When look at all this beauty that's out there. And you just need to open your eyes a little bit wider to see that. And also make a conscious choice. Like, that's where I choose to live. That's what I choose to see. And I don't mean be blind to everything else, but it's a conscious choice to be happy and aware. And, but that's a practice, just like everything else that we do. That's a muscle that you have to flex on a regular basis, but we can tune it to be something that is chosen more than not.
I'm just glad you said that. There's, it's like when people see advanced yogis do yoga, they're like, oh, it came to them easy. And it's like the same thing with like being in a life positive relationship, right? Like being in, right? It's like, oh, yeah. Doesn't come easy, but it comes.
They see the handstand. They see the pictures of the relationship. They don't see all the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into everything. But it's also kind of like, well, that's just the world we live in right now, where we can push send with a smiley face, hashtag so happy, and people think that, wow, your life is like a fairy tale. It's like, no, I just don't choose to show you like every ounce of pain that I go through as well. But it's such a weird balance. Yeah, it's really fascinating.
So let's talk about your new workshop for a few minutes. How do you pronounce it, actually? Let's start there.
Oh, uneffable.
Uneffable. Okay, awesome. And which, yeah.
Unwithable. Something that can be printed and not people. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is all about like not being in a drama-oriented relationship with your life and getting really clear on that, right? Is that
exactly? It's something I'm still writing the workshop right now. I haven't fully fleshed it out yet. But I saw a post, and that was the word. And, it was a toy on words, but I just thought, how fantastic, the message behind that. And so many people come to yoga hoping to learn how to become non-reactive, in hopes to learning how to be non-judgmental, which is something that every single human being struggles with because we're human. And I just love this concept of using yoga asana and theory as a means to helping people be empowered with their choices. And what we were just talking about, like not looking for every little hole in the fabric. Like, why are you looking for flaws? When look at this entire thing, it's really beautiful. Maybe it's antique, so what? It's like special.
Yeah.
So it's just I'm just trying to find a way to use asana as a tool, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Asana is a tool to mentally wake us up, to empower people physically through their body, but also to sharpen their thoughts and words and minds, so that when they leave this workshop, that they can have more conviction with their actions and their choices and their words. So, and I think it'll just be a good time too. I want to make people laugh, and make them kind of realize the BS that we hold on to is exactly that, and how easy it is to weave a story. And we tell ourselves, like, I'm going to get out my little violin right now, and here's my story. Oh my gosh, here we go. Where it's like, for real, can you pack that thing away? Come on, let's get on. And just giving them the tools to realize, let it go. Just let it go. It's so empowering. Like your release, your beautiful pre-book release.
Yeah.
And practice that you did, so empowering. But that's a choice that you have to make to go there. So giving them the toolbox for that.
I love that. And it reminds me of the teaching of the malas, in particular Maya mala, that, like when the third eye is just in contract mode, and it's like just measuring. Like that's what Maya means, right? Is to measure. And it's just like measuring, like more than, less than, better than, worse than. And it's everything gets dualistic. It's like we just live in that place of like, I'm not enough, I'm fucking awesome, like whatever it is, right? We're just in that instead of in the mystery and the beauty and the everything else that's happening.
And to me, the unknown is this place of constant potential. It used to be a land that was incredibly scary for me to navigate, and now I'm totally comfortable with not knowing what's coming, because how small-minded of me to assume I know exactly how things are going to work out. It's just, living in the beauty of mystery, and packing some powerful intention behind it, but being okay with not knowing how the story is going to end. It's a great place to be.
Awesome. We can end on that note. That was fun.
Boom.
Oh, well, great to connect with you and get to know you a little bit. I
was just in Sayulita in November.
Really?
Close, right?
Yeah, it's right down the road. That's great.
So charming. What a sweet little town.
It is. And we're kind of in like the quiet it's kind of like the old folks town. But there's 5 surf breaks right here. So.
Do you surf all the time?
Yeah. I mean, not really. Like, yeah, I run a big business. I founded Yoga Health Coaching and have a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's right. It's like whenever there's waves, we're there, and it's.
What a great life.
That's good.
That's.
Yeah.
Take a nice exhale.
Yeah, it's real. And I have a 7-year-old who's becoming bilingual and bicultural, and that's just a really beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah.
To witness. She's now my translator. She's correcting my pronunciation like all the time. Like, oh, Mom. Oh.
Genius. I love it.
It reminds me, though, it'd be fun to, I don't know, just connect in the future. I have a course called Awake Living that's kind of one of my next offerings. That it seems like we have a lot of crossover in where the directionality is going in terms of like these basic tools of that come from the yoga background. That interesting. It's interesting to see that like we're part of some similar current. Have you read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert?
Yeah. No, I haven't.
Okay.
Have you read it already?
Yeah, and it's really good. It's I think you would love it in your month of February.
Okay, so that'll be.
It's quick.
Recharge. Okay.
Yeah, and it like just is a lot around it's all about the creative process and the shadow.
Ooh, I like
it's
that.
perfect. It's just so many things that you said. I'm like, oh, you're gonna love that. I mean, a lot of things you're like, yeah, I know that, but then it'll be like that. Oh God, she said that in the coolest way.
At the end of the day, don't we kind of already know everything, but we need to have it reminded to us in different shapes and forms and lessons?
Yeah.
I don't know if any of us are really teaching something that's never been taught before. It's just
right.
an individual take that you go, oh yeah, oh my gosh, how did I not remember that? Thank you.
Yeah, and she's such a wordsmith, so it's a good way to take it in.
For that right now.
Yay! Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, and I think this is slated for release in less than 2 weeks, so we'll roll it right out and.
Shoot Isabel the link when you have it, and I'll put it up.
Awesome. Yeah. Namaste. It's been charming.
Sure. Bye.
Bye.